Okay, thank you. I'd like to call this is a select board meeting and public hearing for Wednesday, May 1st, 2024 at 7 p.m. at the Hollis Community Building. I'd like to welcome, on my left is Roger Hicks, on my right is Jack Regala. My name's Mary Hoffman, we're your select board. On my far right is Don Pooler and Clay Gleason, and they're here to present the school budget to us. So Clay?
All right, thank you. Thanks for having us tonight. So, as you already mentioned, Don Pooler is our business manager here with me tonight, and then in the audience is Kelly Heath, school board member from Hollis. Chairman Nathan Carlo has been coming to most of these, but he was ill tonight and did want to give his regards to the select board. So we have some handouts. Anyone that's in the room is welcome to grab one of those. We will leave some here, and we can also make them available to anyone who would like one who's watching this either currently or later at home. An approach Don and I have really tried to take is to have full transparency in the process. I feel like there are line item budgets on the website from previous years. Once this budget is approved, we will put this up too in every bit of detail. So what we bring to you tonight is our proposed budget. The board actually voted on it on April 1st, and then as a cruel April Fool's joke on April 2nd, the health insurance increases were announced, and we had put a placeholder in that we thought was a moderate placeholder of 6%, knowing it could have been anywhere from 1% to 11.5%, and it was 11.25%. So once that budget had been approved by the board, we immediately had to go back and look for a solution, and what we are recommending to the board, and they will be voting again on Monday, is we are not going to put that onto taxpayers. We had to increase the budget, but we're going to bring the offset from the carry forward, the fund balance. So there'll be no impact on taxpayers, and it will just require us to be even more cautious next year as we're working through the budget, because the amount was $600,000. 600,000. So that's a big chunk of money to put on top of our budget. But just to get back to the budget, so what you'll see in this budget is one addition, and that is one position for a teacher of English to speakers of other languages. We have doubled that population of students in our schools, and we currently have one person who covers 8 buildings, and we have obligations that we have to meet to these students. So we are recommending a second position to cover the district more broadly. Other than that, it is maintaining our current level of programming, absorbing increases in things like electricity or gas, or the things that just go up year to year. The main driver of this budget is salary increases for our staff. So the increase on the total budget is 6.38% this year. And for Hollis, the impact on Hollis is 5.83 for the town of Hollis. And if some of you may realize that we don't get to decide how the shares are spread out across the towns, the state tells us how much each town has to pay their share, and it's based on valuations of the towns. And so as towns have their valuations, and then those get averaged over a couple of years, those numbers shift and change from year to year. So if in the handout on page 3, there is a chart that shows the history of our budgets, and it shows it has a graphic to the right and it has a chart to the left. And what I just want to draw your attention to is on the graphic to the right, there are gray bars at the top which represent other expenses that are not salary and benefits. And you can see that that gray bar stays pretty consistent over the last 10 years. But the salaries and benefits steadily increase. And the chart has the numbers behind that graph, chart to the left, and you can see that in 2015, those other expenses amounted to $12,600,000, and in 2025, it's $12,160,000. So it's actually pretty level with 10 years ago, and 1.4 million less than last year. So we have definitely tried to offset the salary and benefits impact by not adding anything extra to the budget. So the total budget amount is $63,315,838. That is a big number. Someone at one of our presentations explained to me how percentages work, how, well, 6% of 63 million is a lot of money. Yes. Yes, it is, and we definitely recognize that. The challenge that we faced is the challenge that a lot of employers face, whether it's public entities, schools, or private employers. Is a labor crisis right now, and it's no different for us. But the difference for the schools is we can't change our hours, charge more for our product. We can't lay the kids off. Sorry, you kindergartners, go home. We don't have a teacher for you. So we have to employ people to educate the kids. And we were running into situations where we had people leaving and making $12,000 to $14,000 a year more. That's right, $12,000 more to do the same job if they went to Scarborough or Westbrook. So we can never match that, but we have to try to get closer to keep the people we have and to attract good teachers. It was true for bus drivers. It's true for support staff, although I will say we made a big correction for our bus drivers in the last contract, and we had to do that to keep them, or we weren't going to be able to get kids to school. The transportation director would not want me to say this, but I'm going to knock plastic and just say that we've had to cancel far fewer bus runs this year than we did last year. So I would say our increases in salaries to keep people worked to some extent. But it could be educational technicians, it could be food service workers. It doesn't really matter who the employee is. They are quite vastly underpaid in this district compared to surrounding communities. So the focus of this budget, we had 3 bargaining units. Our 3 biggest groups of employees were all due this year, and the board made a commitment to do right by people, to keep the people that we have, and to try to attract new people. So again, I'll say that the biggest driver of the increase is salaries, and then of course that big hit on health insurance, which we had hoped wouldn't be that much, but it was. So that's that chart. Mary serves on our budget advisory committee to represent Hollis, and that's a citizens group that we take input on about the budget, and it usually forms every November, and we will take, we love to have participation. We take applications. The Finance and Facilities Committee selects membership, and we try to get a lot of different people from different aspects of the district. And that group typically focuses on providing some additional money to our facilities, because we have aging buildings. They're all getting older, and usually we'll have anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million that is allocated for additional facilities improvements. A roof here, or windows there, or big ticket projects. And this year we didn't fund that, the facilities lines with those supplemental items, because we wanted to put the money into our people. We do have a facilities capital improvement fund that if there was some unanticipated expense that came up, that we could use those funds with board approval. And the other thing that hopefully you may have heard about is we've done a facilities assessment. We have been really looking at all of our facilities, because we need to start thinking ahead. Our new school, and in air quotes, at Buxton Center is almost 15 years old now. It's not so new anymore, and our other schools are significantly older. Some of you probably went to them if you've lived in the community for a long time, and they haven't changed much. Don Marian often talks about attending Georgie Jack School, and I don't know how different it is from when Don attended there, in his time there. So we have to start planning ahead. So we've been going through a process of looking at our facilities and trying to map out a course of action. So there's nothing decided right now, but we did get input. We had a thought exchange that went out, had 700 people participate. We had a few community forums. And so our plan is to not spend additional money, I should say, this year on our facilities, because a year from now, we're hoping to get some news that we might get funded for to get some state funding on school improvement, school construction projects. Our intention is to apply for every building in our district except Buxton. And if we get one school that finishes high enough on this list, that we do have a couple of options that we have some concepts drawn up around. And my hope would be to try to do something for the whole district. Because if we try to take the approach we've taken of replacing a school at a time, it'll be 100 years before we would replace everything. And I've been in all of these schools at this point, and we don't have 100 years. They're not going to last. We take good care of our things in this district, but it's a lot to ask for these buildings to continue. And if that doesn't happen, people say, well, what will you do? Well, then we're going to have to kind of reset our expectations and then look back at what the community is able to support. But unfortunately, it will be, there'll be a lot of things that no one will notice that we have to spend money on. That's the way it often gets described. If someone handed us $30 million today, we could spend that and no one would even really see it, because it would be things like handicap accessible bathrooms, code issues that are things that often aren't seen to the naked eye. There would be no improvement on classroom spaces. There would be no additional classroom spaces. So that's kind of the place we're in. Either spend a lot of money to fix what we have, or maybe spend a lot of money to get something new. But both of those sentences start with spend a lot of money. And I hate to be the one to bring this to you. It is not because that's something I want to do, but those are going to be the hard conversations we have moving forward. So that was a consideration this year, and we did not add to the budget further for facilities. They have an operating budget, but we didn't add supplemental money to do extra projects. We had a slight reduction in subsidy. Our enrollment, so subsidies, the money that comes from the state, it feels manipulated every year. I think this is there another chart? I think this is the one I want to look at. So on page 4 in the packet, another chart. Dawn did all the work on this packet and in analyzing these numbers. If you, again, this is about 10-year history. If you look at the chart to the left, in fiscal year 15, the state revenue was 46.5% of our budget, right? So just under half. And then I don't think it takes a lot to see that blue line, right? The blue line, stays flat or kind of goes down, but it definitely does not match the red line, which is the local contribution, right? So as our budget goes up, the state revenue has gone down, so the local share goes up. So you can see in this current year, the state funding was 38% compared to 46% 9 years ago, and for the next year, we're expecting under 36% to come from the state. So I'm not an expert, but I would say that means the state is paying less, and there's still an amount of money that has to be raised. And again, we can't raise the prices on what we sell because we don't sell anything. So it falls on the local taxpayer, which is really unfortunate. The other thing that kind of hurts our district is we don't have a lot of industry. Some towns and communities have a lot of businesses, right? And so they share more of the tax burden. We don't really have that in SAD 6. We have 750 employees, and I believe the number's like 57% of them live in this community. So these tax increases affect the people that work for us too. But we're also, I believe, still the largest employer in the district. So it is unique. Bonny Eagle is unique compared to other places in that way. So anyway, you can see the revenue. The only really two sources of revenue that are substantial are the state and local, and one is going down, which means the other goes up. Page 5 is the proposed budget by article, and you can just see the different areas there, and we are required when the community votes to vote on these by article. You can see some of them have gone up and down. I wouldn't read too much into that, because what happens year to year is Dawn has done an excellent job of looking at our accounting practices and making sure we're following good accounting practices. So sometimes money is just coming from a different line. It might have moved to a different article, but most of the increases are lines that have salaries and benefits in them. So Article 1 and 2 have a significant amount of salaries and benefits, which is why they are substantially higher than the previous year. And so you can see the general fund budget, which are those 11 articles, has gone up just under 6%. And then we have adult ed and school nutrition, which are two separate areas. And someone asked in another meeting, the big increase in nutrition, and that is also largely salaries. Our school nutrition staff has been pretty dramatically underpaid. They could literally almost take any job and make more than they're making. So this is in anticipation of a new contract, which would increase that to a better living wage. So that's the big increase there. And so then the total, that number I mentioned, 6.38, is the overall proposed increase. And then I guess while we're in the packet, we could go to page 6, the next page, and that just breaks it down by the different communities and different ways of looking at it, the local contributions. I'll bring your attention to the percentages there and the second section down. Those are the percentages that the state tells us each town needs to pay. We don't decide that. It isn't based on enrollment. It's based on some formulation that the state has applied to what the town's ability to pay. In that, as I said, that adjusts as your local assessments and valuations are done. It's like a 3-year average that's 2 years old or something, so it takes a little while to hit. And then you can see down below the breakout of each town with the percent difference, and actually Hollis's increase this year is much closer, or below average actually, across the 5 tax-paying towns, including Fry Island. You can see Buxton and Leamington have higher increases, and that's because of that state valuation piece. So I think those are the high points. Happy to take any questions if anyone has any questions, or Don, jump in if there's anything I maybe left off that we should mention.
Becky Bowley, Timber Lane. Couple of questions. Are breakfast and lunch all being funded next year by the federal government for students?
That's a good question. It was this year, definitely was this year, and I'm not sure if we have been notified that that's continued for next year.
So the other day I had to go by the high school, middle school complex, and I come here sometime during student pickup and drop off and pick up. Parents, put your kids on school buses. Your tax dollars are paying for that. Ride the school bus. I mean, I went by the middle school yesterday morning at like 7:30. A little before that, I'm like, why aren't these students riding the school bus?
It is definitely a carryover, in my opinion, from COVID. Not to blame things on COVID, but people got used to transporting kids because, frankly, we needed them to at one point. But once we went back to normal, I think it became more of a routine for people, and it is not just a Hollis thing for sure. And as you're saying, middle school, high school, it's a particular problem in Standish. If you've been near the Sebago Lake area of Standish, they're doing construction at that Four Corners right near the elementary school. It is a nightmare. I waited 25 minutes to get to the school from the top of the hill.
So I just hope people realize that their tax dollars are paying for transportation for your student to school. So put your student on that bus. A lot of life lessons are learned on the school bus. So my other question, more seriously, if you took $1,041,000 out of facilities maintenance this year, if you don't get any state funding for new construction, we'll be looking at adding $2 million back in next year.
I don't believe that would be the case. If we do, it's not because of this. It would be because that's a choice that we've made or the BAC has made. I don't think we have to. I think that we had started a facilities capital improvement fund a few years ago, and so unexpended funds from those Article 9 goes into that account, and it accrues interest, and the interest has been favorable, currently. That will end at some point. So we have almost $2 million in that fund that the board could choose to allocate. And our facilities director knows that if he has something he needs to do this year that can't wait, that he doesn't have in his budget, that he will come to the board with that request. So that's how we're hoping to avoid kicking it down the road, to use a different funding source. Instead of raising more money and having it roll over, right, potentially, use the money the voters have already allocated that has been saved in that account.
Right. And thank you for being our superintendent.
Thank you. I do want to echo the school bus comment, though, because it is a problem here, too, in that the traffic gets sketchy and people crossing the road and the congestion, and it gets dangerous at times. And I would just encourage people to really think about putting your children on the school bus, have that pickup drop-off be a more occasional thing. We've really tried to work with the folks over here about what we can do to resolve that. When I was principal over there, it was a growing problem, and it hasn't gotten any better. And I don't have an answer to it, but I echo your comments about the school buses are there. Take them.
Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom? Well, school's
Thank you.
out.
Well, I'll just say thank you, and if anyone has any questions, we are here. Really pick Dawn, don't pick me. You'll get a much better answer if you pick Dawn. But we're happy to meet with anyone about any aspect of this and explain any of it, and happy to do that. So thank you for having us, and get out
Thank
and
you.
get out and
Thank
vote.
you.
Thank you very much, Ray.
Thanks.
So you're excused.
Thank you. I won't make you say it twice.
And if you want to introduce Ron.
Sure. So I've been spending a lot of time working with the next gentleman, Ron Smith. He's our town accountant. If you want to join us up here, Ron, and
Up here?
Of course. Just flip the thing down.
I just came from my kid's baseball
so briefly, if you want to just do an overall on the quick audit that
Yeah.
you've done for us.
Sure. So we're pretty much finished the 6/30/23 audit. Taking care of a few loose ends with Diane, regarding the fire truck purchase out of the TIF funds last year, and just kind of the math, Roger, that we've been talking about, moving the money, settling up the two funds with the general fund. We landed, where I told you back in February, your fund balance, and you've got kind of a short report there. I told you back in February you were going to land at about $5.7 million for general fund balance and about a little north of $6 million for the TIF. We're within like $50,000, of each of those, and that was back then when we were still crunching the math. So I don't expect that to change, but what I do expect to do is when you guys look at that short report, let's get together within the next week so we can kind of like finalize that. But the carry forwards that we have from you, what you provided and kind of continuing from where they started the year before, we're different in some math by about $400,000 in like projects. A lot of it's recreation, so we know where it is, and I think it's just making sure that we've got those restrictions earmarked, to where they're going to be. But yeah, we're done 23. Let's finalize the carry forwards and let's start 24. So
Great. Also, in speaking with Ron, that's where one of the articles is coming up, the general fund balance article. We were consulting on monies and
yeah, so the $5.7 million, typically a municipality will have a policy to earmark some of that for many things. One for operations, tax relief, capital, just various things that they would do. And we've been having some conversation for the past few months, regarding exactly that, and really kind of what that target would look like for the town of Hollis. And the town of Hollis is busy, and you've got some big projects, planned. You got a lot of things in the pipeline, and as I told your board, I thought it would be very, very important as these projects, are happening, is to kind of do a little bit of a forecast here, knowing what we've got for money, and if it's the wishes of the town to put up a municipal complex or fund other future things here for the town, that this fund balance policy would certainly be, something I would say would be warranted, because it would leave you with a cash flow or a financial forecast, based on what I've been talking with you all about where the money's going to come from for this town office. You've got all the money, it's clearly there. And if that's the town's wishes, it's more of, okay, let's be strategic about it, and where are we going to take it from? Going to take it from the TIF? Going to take it from our general fund balance? Where are we going to take it from? And that's kind of what I told Roger I would do, is come here and talk to them, and certainly any conversations as you guys all get closer to town meeting, and and as you guys put the math to paper, I'm all in to help the town of Hollis, whatever it is that needs to happen to make sure that everybody's comfortable with the math. So
in that's why the general fund balance ordinance, it's to lock in that certain monies that the town cannot drop below. And if we do, then we have a 3-year period to replenish that money. And not only that, we take 1.75 million, put it into an account, which is part of the fund balance. It becomes a protected one. The difference is when I first started talking to Ron, our general fund balance operations was earning 1% interest. and our TIF account was earning 3.75. So I met with the bank, we moved operations up to 1.5%, and the TIF account went up to 4.25%. So we're gaining better interest rates by my consulting with Ron. So the 1.75, we put it into a general fund balance, and that is earning 4.75%. So instead of the 1%, we're up to 4.75 now on that 1.75.
Yeah, we talked about really just kind of moving some of your money around so it's working for the town of Hollis, not the banks, and and that's exactly what we did. We took a look at your portfolio on 6/30/23, and it was like, okay, this is what we're going to need to carry us through the next fiscal year, or what we're going to need for cash to carry you through until property tax payments come in. So we took that forecast, we came up with some math, and we talked to the bank, and you all negotiated a better rate for the town of Hollis. So your money's working better for you for now, not only for your general fund, but for your TIF reserve fund as well. So
Any questions from anybody?
So I think like I say, you've got that short report. Let me make some edits to it and send you kind of the carryover balances, because we're going to move some math around. The bottom line is not going to change, but the restrictions and the unassigned and the TIF, that is going to change, because some of your TIF money is still sitting in as a reserve in your general fund. We just want to move it to the TIF column based on the conversation we had, because your TIF looks differently today than it looked on 6/30/23 after we moved some of that money around.
Right.
So.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. I appreciate you coming over and
Sure.
sharing that with
And
us.
whatever the town of Hollis needs is you try to understand and come up with the math and make sure. Let me know, certainly.
Okay,
So
Very
thanks.
good, thank you.
Thank
everybody
you.
take care.
You too. We don't have any old business. We're going to move to new business, and Roger's going to talk about a proposal that we have for owner's rep for the new town hall project.
I don't have,
Just talk about it a little bit.
just talk about it, okay. In the warrant article, building the new town hall. What we're looking for is proposals for owner's rep. So if people are interested in representing the town itself, other than the contractor and the federal government, we are looking for people to submit proposals to the select board. Do we have an end date on that?
Probably 2 weeks. By
We'd like to
by the
have them
15th.
within 2 weeks, so by May 15th, if you're interested in being an owner's rep, please do up a proposal and submit it to Bennett Flinner, our administrative assistant, here at the town hall.
So I make a motion that we do assign an owner's rep for the new town hall project.
Second that.
Any more discussion?
No?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
I think I gave him everything. Here's
Yeah, you
policy number 7, the return check policy amendment. And this is really quick, so.
This is really quick because it's part of our Policy 7 return check. We've added a line to it. The town of Hollis reserves the right to refuse checks from individuals, companies, corporations that has habitually negotiated checks that were not honored by a financial institution in the past 24 months. Unfortunately, we've had some people that have done this several times, and we're just adding that in so we can tell them that they'll need to get a bank check instead of taking theirs.
So did you have a question about 6?
Finish what you're doing.
Okay.
I can certainly wait.
So I make a motion that we accept the amendment to policy number 7.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes,
So I
Ms.
just have a
Becky.
question about, so Becky Bowley, Timberlane.
Yeah.
I just have a question about the owner's rep part.
Yep.
Will you be advertising that
Yes.
in like a construction magazine or something for this type of job?
Yes.
And why doesn't somebody call Dana Gray in New Hampshire and see if he'll come back to Hollis for a while? He did this type of work for USM for years and years. He knows Hollis, but I don't know if he would come back from New Hampshire. I think having an owner's rep that represents the town is huge. And thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. I can do payroll if you want.
All right. Payroll, warrant last week, $43,375. Warrant this week is $189,489. Excuse me. Payroll last week, $28,052. Payroll this week, $28,741. And we changed the fire department. They get paid weekly. That's why it's kind of leveled out. All right, purchase orders, $43.72. Civil consultants out of South Berwick. That was for Jay Stevens. He's an engineer, and he's been doing consulting for Harmon Farm Estates for us. $43.73. It's for the fire department. They had to replace the mirror on ambulance 2 after they hit a pothole. Goodyear tire. It's for Rescue 2. They hit the pothole, which knocked out the alignment, so they had to replace the tires and get it aligned. Admiral Fire and Safety, $43.75. Annual staff clothing allowance. That's for the uniforms for the fire department. Oh, sorry, I forgot the totals. Not to exceed $1,057. $43.76. HSE, that's new fire hose for truck 3, $9,983. $43.77. Caleb Haig, renovating the staff building at the fire station, making a 3rd bedroom for another person. $1,299. $43.78. Fire tech and safety. It's a roll hitch for engine 3. $1,215. $43.79. Bergeron replaced 4 gas meters with pumps. These are the updated, newer version of the gas meters for when the firefighters go into hazardous environments. We actually got a good deal on this because the gas meters, they were a 2-for-1 deal this time. So what you'd normally pay for one, we paid for 2. $7,791.60. $43.80. IPS annual order of new gear for the fire department, 4 sets, $1,200. $12,000, excuse me. $43.81. RM Earthworks, and it was the pond cleanup, $9,700. So when you come in, if you notice, all the cat 9 tails are gone, and it's been reseeded. It looks really great down there. And then $43.82, Sebago Technics. I talked with the road commissioner, and we decided to look at some engineering on roads. Engineering for the following town roads: a portion of Mansion Road, Darbic Terrace, Bean Street, and Mailman Way, not to exceed $23,000. And that's the
And that's it.
purchase orders.
Under correspondence, we have an important reminder that there will be a public hearing on May 15th at 6 p.m. to review the secret ballot warrant articles and proposed ordinance and ordinance changes for the June annual town meeting. There will also be a public hearing regarding an amendment to the tax increment funding agreement, TIF, to allow the town to use TIF funds for costs related to the construction or renovation of the Hollis Town Hall. A presentation of the proposed new town hall will also be done by Great Falls Construction that evening. And then the most important, there will be a free turkey dinner for senior citizens of MSAD 6 at the Bonnie Eagle High School cafeteria on Thursday, May 16th at 4:30 p.m. RSVP by calling Sarah at 207-929-2312. We don't have any other business right now. Upcoming town committee and board meetings. The sports complex meeting is on Thursday, May 2nd at 7 p.m. That's probably been canceled because I think Deb Teff is out of town. Planning board public hearing and meeting on May 8th at 7 p.m. Select board public hearing and meeting on May 15th at 6 p.m. and the Conservation Commission meeting on Thursday, May 16th at 5:30 p.m. And then just a couple other things. On July 5th, the Maine National Army Band is going to be playing for us for the 4th of July. Old Orchard Beach got them for the 4th, but we do have them for the 5th. We're planning on hopefully having it at the Sports Complex Center and outdoors, and if not, if it rains, we're going to have it at the gym, the Hollis Gym. So please make plans to come to that.
Is there a time?
Usually I think they start at 5 p.m. with the concession stand being open, and then the band starts about 6 p.m. And then on August 10th is our Hollis Community Day, and the committee is still looking for some sponsorships and volunteers to help during that day. We need a little help with, they get a slide and an obstacle course that's huge, and we need a little help with some strong men hanging around for an hour to supervise some of our teenagers that try to pick on the little kids. So we just need some help with that. Anything else, Jack? Roger?
No.
Okay, we're up to public comment. Would anybody from the public like to speak? Anybody on Zoom?
Nobody?
So is somebody from the audience going to come up and speak to us tonight? Yeah. Rachel, would you like to speak, ma'am?
Yeah, so I was just checking to see if there was a status on Sarah Vaughn.
Rachel, I didn't hear your question, sorry.
I'm looking to see if there's a status on Sarah Vaughn.
Yep, we're waiting and working on that right now. As you know, we hired Jay Stevens as an engineer to go out there and look at it, but the only thing is, you know, you folks came to us for help, and we started things in motion. And my CEO, our engineer, were met with nothing but profanity. Now, you want us to help you. We've started things in motion. We're working with our attorney. But, I mean, if you want to help, we got to work together.
I didn't meet him. I met him the other day, and there was no profanity on our end, and he was very nice
Well,
and very open with us.
Well, it got that the other engineering company will no longer go there.
BH2M said they wouldn't come back.
They won't come back. So, but that's here nor there. We're moving forward with our game plan, and like I said, we're consulting with our attorney to come up with a means to deal with some of the issues that we can deal with. May not be all the issues, but there are issues we can deal with, and we are looking into that right now.
Christy? We'll get you next, sir. Christy, did you want to speak?
Hello.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here with my husband. Can you guys hear us? Hello.
Hello?
Go ahead.
We can hear you.
Okay, I'm here with my husband, Bill.
Yeah, hi. I would like to speak. I'm the one who was upset when the engineering firm came out. And the reason why I'm upset is because we've had issues with trespassers out here, specifically the weekend after the last town hall meeting. We talked about the restoration project that's been ongoing here for going on 2 years now. I have been asking that entire time to handle this quietly amongst adults between BH2M, the firm that will no longer come here, my father, who's a professional engineer, and a third-party engineering consultant. I wasn't given a heads up. None of my neighbors were that this was happening. So I was quite upset that after someone randomly showed up here and tried to plant 850 white pine trees in our common land to have more trespassers come out here. So my anger is justified, and to say that I was being profane is I was quite upset. But you have to understand that we've had people show up here and try to assault some of the women that live here. A lot of very high stress moments, and we need to be given a heads up if there's going to be professional engineers coming to the neighborhood, which is private, so that we can have our consultants on site too, so that we can have professional conversations.
And I also want to say that the general contractor has also used profanity against me. So as a homeowner, I've had people that don't own the property here come over here and treat us with disrespect as well. And as you guys are aware, we've been fighting for this now for almost 2 years. So a lot of the anger has to do with the frustration that we've been pleading for help, and you guys have refused to help us. And then you guys say that, oh, this was last minute, when again, we've had almost 2 years to plan this. Just like you guys ask for proposals when you have your bids, you have multiple proposals that you look over and you decide from there which one is the best, and you have everything scheduled. We deserve the same. This is a business matter. Nobody should come to our home without letting us know first. If somebody's gonna come here, we have young children. Like what you don't know who's coming here. So if somebody's randomly walking around, yes, we're gonna be upset. So we just ask for some respect and let us know what is happening, when it's happening, what the plans are. And again, as homeowners, we should be part of this conversation. We should be part of deciding what is going to happen here.
All right.
Thank you. Yes, sir?
Jay Boucher, 2 Harmon Way. After our last meeting, we came out here randomly on Saturday morning at about 8:15. A company comes out and tries to plant 850 white pine trees. I was the one there. All right, and I walked up to him, and I walked up to him, and you can ask this contractor. I walked up to him, and I talked to him like a man, and I just asked him, "What are you planning on doing over here?" And he says he got a phone call to hire be hired to plant trees, 850 sapling white pine. So I asked him. I go, instead of being like, "Hey, get off our property. Hey, do this," I asked him. I go, "I want you to walk out here, and I want you to look around. Look around at the condition of this ground right here. And if you plant 850 saplings and you put your name on it, would you put your name on it? Do you think those saplings are going to survive? Do you think they're going to thrive? Do you think they're going to grow? Do you think they're going to do anything?" Absolutely not. They weren't going to survive. There was no point to even doing it. They were just trying to appease people instead of doing it the right way and fixing it the right way. And this was without anyone telling us that these people were coming over here on our property. So that was one thing, just so I could clarify what's up. And I met him with respect, shook his hand, talked to him, and all I asked him is, are these trees going to survive? Will you put your name on these trees for surviving and being a viable resource for us and a viable help? Jay, they're saplings. They're this big. It's going to take multiple years for them to grow, and with the sand content that we have out back there, which is starting to collapse, because of shit that was buried out there, the sand content that we have, they'll never survive. They're going to fall over, just like many other trees in our area. If you guys have came out there, you can see all the white pines that have dropped. There are so many white pines that have just dropped because of the sandy condition that we have in the water. They have root rot. Little small balls of root that are maybe as big as this sink for a 20-foot, 30-foot tree because they have root rot. So he didn't even want to put them in there because he knew what he was doing was wrong. So, and I think one of the other questions that Rachel may have had is just a couple weeks ago we stood up here in front of you and we were told that we were going to get a little more answers within a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. All right, and Christy and half the people on our road have been dragged on this for years. So the only thing we're asking for with that aspect of it is a realistic time frame. 2 weeks ago we were told we were going to get some answers within a couple of weeks, and here we are here today. You guys are still talking with your lawyers. You still don't know what we're going to do. Yes, Jay came out there. What a nice man. He came out there and he was trying to do stuff. I don't know about BH2M or anything like that, but he saw what was going on, and I'm sure he gave you a report, and I don't have to say much about what's on that report. So all I'm asking for you guys right now is also a realistic time frame. Are we going to hear some of this within the next meeting, 2 weeks from now, May 15th? I mean, that is what Mary told us 2 weeks ago, is this wasn't going to be dragged out, this wasn't going to be a long answer. I'll get an answer for you within 2 weeks. Mary, what's our answer?
And we're still working on it.
But that's not an
That's all
answer.
I
You
can say.
told us 2 weeks
I
ago
know,
you would
but-
give us a realistic answer.
A realistic time frame
Okay.
is you've had it for 2 years. You can give us some time.
I haven't. See, like,
You know, I mean, it's
I
been
just
2
purchased
years.
this because the previous homeowners lied to us.
We will
You've
have
had
an
the-
answer by the 15th for
By the
you.
15th, do you think that's a realistic time frame? That's all I'm asking
Yeah, we
for.
do.
I'm sure these
Yeah.
people just want to know.
We thought we were going to have an answer tonight. We're not satisfied with the answer that we were given.
Okay.
So we're back to the drawing board.
Okay, so by next May 15th, I can come up here and ask you the same question. You're going to be able to give us just a little better understanding on what you guys are doing, thinking, and where we're going.
Yep.
And I'm hoping to give you documentation by then.
Thank you. That'd be wonderful, and that's what we need, just so we all can agree upon what's just going to fix.
We were
the
hoping we'd have some tonight, but it didn't
Go through.
go through.
Still affecting a lot of people. My electric bill's still $600 a month.
Yep.
Now, you're on the corner lot,
I'm on
correct?
the corner on the left.
Yeah.
I'm number 2. They're number 1.
Okay. I'm ju-
Yeah, with a pipe.
sorry, I'm just trying to
You're
keep
the one with the
straight
pipes.
where everybody
Yeah.
is.
Pipes, that's so I don't get it in my basement. But all I'm doing is recirculating.
Mm-hmm.
And now the front of the road, I don't know if you guys have seen that, the front of the road's starting to have a little bit of issues over there too, with the telephone poles and the mailboxes.
Okay.
And I apologize that I couldn't get you an answer tonight, but sometimes people don't work as fast as I'd like them to either.
Okay.
So,
Well, thank you for trying. We appreciate that.
you know,
Thank you very much.
We're on it. We are on it.
and we certainly don't want to plant 815
Well, did you
trees. 850. We
Listen,
didn't know.
I-
We didn't know
I,
about it.
know about that?
No, but we knew that there were 850 trees that were being transported in a front seat.
Yeah, just with the loam not being there, you know.
But even 850 trees transported in a front seat.
A front seat?
Yes.
They were that
Mhm.
small?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just asked to know, like Christy was saying, we all have children there. We don't
Right.
have random people just walking around our houses.
No, I respect that request, that we have to look into us and give notification.
And I think Code apologized for not letting you guys know when the engineers were coming.
We
That
just,
we can address.
we heard your frustration, so we hired the engineer to go out there with them, and
Yeah, I mean,
It
that's
just
great, but it
wasn't
was
a thought.
Tuesday morning at 10 and nobody knew, and we all would have loved to be there to hear what the guy had to say.
yeah.
But none of us knew that he was even coming.
Yeah.
David Patnode, 56 Saravon. I just wanted to reiterate about the trees. I know that the DEP is involved in that one. And I got to agree with Jay. They're just trying to, hey, we put some trees in, now go away. You know, they also took and stripped all the loam off that whole area. So I don't really care what size trees they put in there. If there isn't going to be any loam in there and nobody's going to be around to water them, take care of them, whatever, for, I don't know, 3 to 5 years, whatever
We
they
are
plant's just a-
specifically addressing them.
yeah, it's just a waste of time
Yeah,
for everybody.
we're addressing
So-
the loam and the trees.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
That's what's taken us a little longer
You
than
got
I'd
somebody?
like.
You got 2 people on Zoom.
Okay.
Rachel's first.
Hi, Rachel.
So I have to apologize. I was coming back from practice and lost you guys in the mist, but I'll go back and re-listen to what was said when I asked my question. But I really just want to stress that we're just asking for communication. We're asking again for help, and that goes back to communication. We're hurting, and we're people, and we're young families, and we want you guys to understand that we're all suffering. And I'm finding out more and more information that I'm not very thrilled about. And in turn, I know that you guys have a lawyer. We pay our taxes. We're paying the lawyer. We pay the salary of the town people. We need help. We're asking for communication. And I just want to stress that. Just keep us informed, and we're not going to be fired up every single time we come meet with you guys. We just want to know what's going on.
You know this is going to take time. Just keep us in the loop.
Okay. We can do that. Thank you, Rachel.
Yep.
Who else was on?
Christy Duncan.
Christy?
Yeah, as far as communication and timeline go, do we have an update on when the restoration should be completed? Because we had our initial meeting in the fall of 2022, and at the code enforcer at that time said we'd have a follow-up meeting for the spring of 2023 to discuss the plan that was due to be done in the fall of 2023. And now we're in May of 2024, and we don't even have, nothing's in place still. So what is the deadline, and what kind of penalty are you guys enforcing for the wait? Because I do understand that we've been dealing with this for almost 2 years, but I do not like that you say, well, what's another couple of weeks? This is urgent. This shouldn't have gone this long. So just because we've gone this long doesn't mean that we should continue to have to wait. We've been telling you what the issues are. The stuff isn't new. We've had time to have engineers come out like we've been asking you. We have told people this is going to happen, and now it's happening. So why aren't you guys taking more urgency in this?
We are, you don't know, but we are. That's why I'm saying, we just mentioned, get everything put in place, and hopefully the 15th of May, we can get some of these things addressed. And go from there.
So what was the answer your lawyer gave that you guys weren't happy with?
Unfortunately, we can't talk about that because it's attorney-client privilege right now.
Right.
So, like we said, please, give us until the 15th to iron out what we need to, and we will keep you apprised.
Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom? Anybody in the audience?
Well, I thank you folks for coming out. And we will look into that notification. Communication should be, that we can clear that one up. Okay.
And we certainly
And then-
will keep you informed as we get more information. You know? Well, Jack, it's your favorite part.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second that.
And again, thank you folks.
And thank you all for coming.